Welcome back to Leeds Lately. Before we get into this transfer video, if you could just hit that big red button down below. Apology for the lack of uploads recently. I've been on holiday, but we're back to it now with some transfer news. Now, I just want to address one thing that people have been saying in the kind of Leeds United fan base is that, oh my God, I can't believe we haven't signed anyone yet, all this sort of thing. Well, look, don't panic. The reason is, what most people suspect the reason is because the profit and sustainability rules reset, or the footballing year runs from June 30th to June 30th each year, which is why contracts run out at that certain date. For example, when we had that whole debacle with Jean-Kevin Augustin, the whole reason was that we were supposed to sign him permanently by that June 30th date, but Leeds didn't think that because the season ran over that would still apply, etc. So the general rule is that all contracts run till June 30th, no matter where you are in the footballing world. The contracts run till June 30th, so hence players and fees and all that sort of thing and profit and sustainability rules, that then becomes the new footballing year on the calendar. So it makes sense for Leeds to not want to pile too much onto the previous year and go into the next year's profit and sustainability rules come June 30th. That's when you might start to see signings come through the door so that we can abide by those rules properly, unlike some of the other teams, Leicester, etc. So anyway, this transfer video then is a fairly exciting one because this one seems like one of the most kind of solid rumours that I've seen, reported by L'Equipe in France, which they don't always get things right, but they've been getting a few right this summer, and reported by a few other sources as well. Apparently Leeds United have made contact, certainly, with Strasbourg in the French First Division for Habib Diarra. Now, the Senegalese central midfielder is 21 years old, plays currently in like a number 8 role, a box-to-box role, but is capable of playing in the number 10, also playing in defensive midfield as well. So he's very much an all-rounder in that sense. His market value, according to Transfermarkt, which we take with a pinch of salt, is 20 million euros. Apparently, Leeds have gone in with a bid of 26 million euros, which is probably around 20 to 22 million pounds. So what would you get for that sort of money then? Well, he's a player who's made 30 appearances this season for Strasbourg, scored 4 and assisted 5. From a central midfield role, that is a pretty good return when we compare him to other players in terms of goals and assists. From the central midfield role. Non-penalty goals, 0.08 per 90 puts him in the 57th percentile, so he's above average for that. But in terms of assists, 0.19 assists per 90 puts him in the 87th percentile. So he's in the top 13% of central midfielders in the top 5 leagues around Europe for creating assists. So it's something to note straight away, is that he is somebody who tries to get forward and tries to get on the end of things and get assists as well. We had Joe Rothwell last season, and we do need to replace that kind of attacking threat from midfield, the number 8 role. But Joe Rothwell was very much a player who would help with the build-up and get forward a little bit, but not really go further than the edge of the box. Habib Diarra is someone who definitely will go into the box, go beyond the strikers and make those third-man runs into the box, try and get on the end of things and try to create goals and assists. Primarily, like I said, he plays in that central midfield role. But when he does, he doesn't necessarily play like your kind of traditional central midfielder. He does like to drift a little bit wide, maybe into the half spaces more than properly out on the wing. But I do think that this could provide us with a little bit of a different option. Now, when I did a video a few weeks back about how Leeds might be a little bit more pragmatic in the Premier League, how we might be able to defend a little bit better, I spoke a little bit about how you could have the fullbacks one go, one stay. But obviously this provides less of an attacking threat. Last season in the Championship, a lot of the time we had like 6 men across the front line trying to attack all at once. And I do think that we will need to be a little bit more cautious than that in the Premier League. So if you have one fullback stay and one go, you are missing out on that, out on the right wing in that half space. But that kind of support could be provided by somebody like Habib Diarra going into that half space and being able to create chances and score goals as well, because Daniel Farke loves his midfielders to get into that, get into those forward thirds and get into the half space as well. So you may see that if Habib Diarra comes in, he plays a little bit. He's a central midfielder, but he will drift wide if he's playing in a 2. He's also capable of playing in that number 10 role, as though he is not as creative as another number 10 you might go out and get. So I think he definitely would be suited more to play in the number 8 role. So Yeah, he's somebody who likes to carry the ball as well. 2.33 carries, progressive carries, sorry, per 90 puts him in the 88th percentile. So he's in the top 12% of ball carriers. He's carrying the ball forwards towards the final third. He's also giving it to a teammate and then going and making that run beyond, where he has made 1.61 touches in the opposition penalty area per 90, puts him in the 70th percentile. But on his progressive passes received, now progressive passes received are completed passes that move the ball towards the opponent's goal line at least 10 yards from its furthest point in the last 6 passes, i.e., is he going and receiving the ball in the final third? Is he making those runs beyond people and then making himself available to receive a pass? And he is, a lot. 4.36 per 90 puts him in the 92nd percentile, so the top 8% of midfielders in Europe for that. So it's important to note that he is a little bit of a different mold of player from somebody like Joe Rothwell, like I said, and definitely a different mold of player from somebody like Al Tanaka and Ethan Ampadu. He definitely fits into what Daniel Farke's wanting to do by all the things that I've said already. But I do think that there will be a time where you are playing against a Man City, a Man United, well, maybe not at the moment, but some of the better teams with better players away from home, for example, and you're not wanting to necessarily play Habib Diarra because he is a player who will try to get forward and will try to be that attacking threat, which may leave you a bit more open at the back. So I do feel like in those games you might want to play Tanaka and Ampadu in there together, for example, two more defensive-minded midfielders. But certainly if you're playing at Fulham, at Sunderland, any of these teams who've come up with us as well, I do feel like Habib Diarra is perfectly suited to do that job. And I think whilst we thought that Joe Rothwell was kind of outstanding for us last season, Joe Rothwell's not an outstanding player, but sometimes the system really suits the player. And he's the only kind of number 8 that we had that could do that little bit of kind of box-to-box running. So he kind of really impressed us because our other central midfielders weren't able to do that job. But somebody like Habib Diarra, I think, would blow people's minds in terms of that compared to what we've had before in terms of Joe Rothwell and stuff. So I do think that it's important to note that Habib Diarra would make a big difference to the way that we're able to play. And you can see why Daniel Farke would be targeting somebody like Habib Diarra, because he implements the way that Daniel Farke wants to play properly. We've had 2 years now of Farke ball, and first year it was a little bit more counter-attack. Second year it's been a little bit more kind of score a lot of goals. It's clicked into place more. It's been more of a team effort, and I think it worked better. So even in year 3, hopefully we'll see an improvement again. And bringing people in like Habib Diarra, I think certainly allows you to do so. A couple of things to note before we finish. Lockie mentioned Habib Diarra about a week ago in his top 5 progressive midfielders that Leeds should sign. Go and check that video out. That's a good watch from him, and he identified Habib Diarra before this rumour even came about. Lockie always knows his stuff. The other thing is, if you haven't already, make sure you go ahead and get your tickets for the Leeds Creator Cup, which is on the 20th of July at the John Charles Centre for Sport, all for Prostate Cancer UK, and the link is in the description down below to go and get tickets. Thanks for watching Leeds Lately. Let me know what you think of Habib Diarra down below. We're back to it with the videos now, so make sure you hit that like button and hit that sub button as well. Thanks for watching Leeds Lately, and I'll see you in the next one.